And how are you, Simon, these days in regards
Oh,
to what you went through?
uh, best health I've ever been in. I do take more care.
Stronger than ever, my friend. Stronger than ever.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love my yoga and I'm very into wild swimming. I like swimming in rivers and lakes as well as the sea. And yeah, I'm much more in tune with what my self needs in all of those ways, and that's helped so much with everything, with my relationship with family, with friends. It changes everything.
Did you think, because you mentioned your family and your family relations, and I think sometimes, because I have a few friends that have gone through some illnesses,
Mm,
and anytime you hear about an illness that isn't close to home, is not a family member, is not a loved one, is not someone that you're close
mm,
with, you hear about that person's struggle, right? You hear about they went through this, mentally it was this, physically it was this. But
mm,
what you don't commonly hear is how it impacts the relationship with these people, because it's like something we don't want to talk about. When someone's suffering, we automatically think everyone around them is there for them. But that's not
mm,
necessarily the case. There's a lot of times where people will be going through something and people start to pull away, starts to
mm,
impact some of their relationships.
mm,
Describe to us some of the impacts that what you went through had around those who were
mm,
close to you at that time.
mm. You're right. I think for some people, when somebody around us is in pain or suffering, or um, it can bring up difficulties or be embarrassing or just not knowing what to say, feeling awkward, and people, yeah, often back off. It happens also when somebody's bereaved and they're grieving, and yeah, I can remember in former times myself kind of going, oh, I'll leave them a little bit to kind of, and then I'll contact them. And the longer you leave it, of course, the harder it gets. And yes, there are people that fell away, um, and th- I, that's okay, because there were also people that were so there, um, that come what may would be there. I can, and they're sometimes surprising people, and you don't forget when people have just turned up on your doorstep, um, just to say they care. I get emotional with it.
Oh yeah, I think about anytime I've gone through anything and the
Mm,
people that have been there for me,
mm,
um, I love them with every
yeah,
fiber of my soul.
yeah.
And this is a reflection on me, not in a negative way, but there's some people who stepped up when I was
Mm,
suffering.
mm,
That kind of surprised me a little bit because I wasn't expecting it
yeah.
from them, because we were close, but not
Mm,
as close to think
mm,
that they would be part of my support group.
mm,
And they made me love them even more, because when
yeah.
someone surprises you with such generosity,
Mm,
you hold it to another level
mm,
than someone that always shows it. And that could be right or wrong, depending on how you want to look at it.
mm,
But love
mm,
is love. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think when people show support, that outweighs long term anyone that would pull away.
Mm,
Because when the people pull away, you feel such a sharp pain in the beginning, but then
mm,
you begin to realize, you know what, John over there, he wasn't there for me. But
mm,
Jane came and she checked on me. She sent me a good morning message. She
mm,
came by and
mm,
said, "Are you going to be all right? Is there anything I can do for you?" Because
mm,
I know Jane is going to be there for me long term, where
mm,
John was only there for me when things were
mm.
good. Or maybe, just maybe, he was there when it was easier, because it's not easy being around someone that is suffering.
It's not. You're absolutely right. It's not. And I've kind of talked before. Sometimes even outside our inner circle, when when you're out in the street, I had times, and people have this now. I have friends who experience this, whether it's from challenges with sight, with a guide dog that are discriminated against, people in wheelchairs that are discriminated against. And I certainly came across occasions where bus drivers refused to let me on. People would shove past, would be angry, would be unkind, unthinking, unthoughtful, unkind, whatever. But more than equal and opposite were the random acts of unbelievable loving kindness that just came along. The taxi driver that picked me up and just wanted to know, refused to take a fare, and would say, no, this is on me. I really hope you'll be okay. I know you'll be okay. The kind of well-wishing. I had a friend that would wait in the car when they knew I was kind of waiting for to go somewhere and needed a cab or whatever. They'd be waiting and just driving past, going, "Oh, yep, glad I caught you." And they'd been sitting there. I know they'd been sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, just to make sure they were there. Those acts of generosity you can't forget.